Hello, Evgeny. I just realized for all the participants that all the day I've been calling my track the second one while we are in a third one. I'm sorry for this mistake. Yeah, but we are ready to welcome Evgeny Borisov. I'm excited to introduce a great colleague of mine, developer relations lead at EPAM. As a developer relations lead, Evgeny's commitment is to strengthen the connection between the company and the developer community. Evgeny brings to this role over 20 years of Java experience, a decade in mentoring software engineers, and a track record on building high performance teams and implementing technical solutions for code quality enhancement. A great friend of Devoxx Ukraine, Evgeny, with a session on remaking of Spring, the builder powered by AI. And by the way, we had a teaser of this talk like 2 days ago, as obviously Evgeny has a lot to share on it. I'm going to share the link to it in a chat so you could watch it later. And Evgeny, can you please tell me are we going to do? I know that you wanted to answer the questions like as soon as we have them in a chat, so you can ask me from time to time if there are any, and I'm gonna answer if there are the questions or if we have no them, and you can proceed.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan?
Okay. So, hello everybody. This is the second session of the Spring the Builder GPT remake. So I need to make a reminder of what was in the previous session. But don't worry, everybody who heard 3 days ago the first part, it will not be boring because I will spend maybe only 2 minutes to tell things you already heard from me, and the rest of the things will be a little bit different, and we will start from the middle. I was very close, and now I feel that I finally found some methodology how you should work with ChatGPT in order to build Java applications, maybe not only Java applications, but at least my methodology is relevant to object-oriented languages, in my opinion. Okay, so this talk is for people who want to understand how Spring Framework's working. It's talk for the people who want to write beautiful object-oriented code and want to understand why it is so important. And the most important thing of this talk, it's for the people who want to know if ChatGPT-like technologies will help us in the future or maybe today in the world of coding and can make us more efficient, okay, to save a lot of time of our efforts. And again, this is very important disclaimer that all I'm going to present all my ideas. Actually, I talked with a lot of people inside EPAM, a lot of different experts, which writes course of prompt engineering, because in my opinion, I came with a lot of revolutionary ideas, and I wanted to be sure that I'm not going to say stupid things. But all people I consulted with, in the beginning, they say, what? And then they said, wow, you're right. This can work. Okay, so I'm gonna offer you some strategy of coding, but this is not silver bullet. It can be appropriate for particular, but in my opinion, very common task in the object-oriented world. But it's still my personal experience. And again, we already saw it. Something can go wrong because the behavior of ChatGPT is not deterministic. Okay, so who's not familiar with me? My name is Evgeny Borisov. I'm coding more than 20 years. Today, I'm leading the Department of Developer Relations. Developer Relations, we started this department several months ago. And in a couple of words, what is DevRel? It's about how can a company like EPAM make all developers happy, but still have a lot of revenue. So it's about a lot of different activities with developers and around developers to make them more professional, about the conferences, the communities, the hackathons, and a lot of additional extra miles which can build a more comfortable world for us. And in the end, I will remind it again. You are welcomed. We created several weeks ago the community. For now, we're just gathering the people who want to share the ideas, what we can do in EPAM to make our life better. It can be everything related to learning, related to professional growth, or just for some fun, which is relevant for developers. Please come to me, share your ideas, and I try to push them and do something. Okay, so that's what we are doing today. We come into the location and we're asking what is the current situation, providing several workshops, making interviews with people, decide which activity is most important for developers. Maybe it's the growth of the speakers, maybe it's help to some communities involvement, and so on and so on. Then we prepare the activity, we deliver the activity, we collect feedback, and so on and so on. And because today we are going to write Spring, we need some task which should be completed. Otherwise, it's very hard to understand why do we need framework if we don't have some task which will be completed by the help of the framework. So we will starting from the task, and then we understand that in order to make our code beautiful with single responsibility, with a lot of good patterns, we need some framework around this. Otherwise, we start and copy paste the solutions, and then the framework we're gonna build, it will be Spring. And this is my dream as a developer. I want really to sit and to do this task, but not like we will do now. Now we'll concentrate on the Spring framework and not on the task. It will be kind of mock implementation of DevRel as a class. What is the reason DevRel exists? It helps to DevRel department execute DevRel strategy. And this is our steps we're going to implement. We need to choose most crucial activity. Then we need to collect metrics regarding this activity before we start delivering some content. Then we deliver the activity, and then we again collect the metrics in order to see if we successfully improved something or not. Okay, and the code we started with looked like this. And let's start from the method. So you can see easily the same steps which were described here in comments of the executable strategy. So first of all, we need, with some help of analyzer, because we love single responsibility, we delegate to other objects and not maintaining one class with a lot of implementation of different methods. So actually we have only one method with logic of this flow, and other methods will be delegated to the assistance of the DevRel. So who is assistance? It's the DevRel analyzer, metric collector, and producer of the activities. So in the beginning, we find the most popular activity. Then with metric collector, we measure what the status of this activity right now. Then we produce something regarding this activity. And then we print in how much dev dollars we earned by providing this activity, how much we improved. Okay, yeah, so I measure the DevRel improvement in dev dollars. Okay, and now, because we want that our code will be flexible, reusable, and readable, we know that in order to achieve that, we need to work by solid in the object-oriented world. And you will, everybody who not agree, I will not spend time again of those who saw or familiar with the rules, but it's a lot of presentation, including my previous session of this talk, where I explain why single responsibility is very important, but I hope you know. So in anyway, so the first thing we did, we started, we asked ChatGPT if the class DevRel, yeah, if the class DevRel is, just a moment, I want to, no, actually, no, I will not delete something. If this class is working by single responsibility. And now from that point, the talk will go different. Okay, so guys, which started to be boring because you already thought that it's the same, first hour will be the same like in previous session. Now it will be different. First of all, we want to start from the rules. I will share something what I already shared, but very fast. And then I will share the summary of the methodology, which will be not totally different from the things I showed you before, but it will be accomplished. to some really methodology. Uh, so um, First of all, for those who were not present in the previous session, this is very important thing because I'm going to use it every time when I'm working against ChatGPT. We want to clarify two different strategies how you work with ChatGPT. The simple strategy, almost everybody used in the beginning at least. Uh, like you can see here, we start from asking questions, then we get some answer, then we trying to analyze this answer or trying to check, trying to put it in IntelliJ. We run in the code, we see some exceptions, some problems, we analyze what went wrong. We understand how by improving the question we can receive better result. Then we ask in the improved question, then we receiving the improved result, then we have better question and even more better question, even more better result. Then we want to clarify something, then we go back to the questions, and finally usually I find myself in this situation. I want to throw away to this ChatGPT. I want to say it's just for the kids, it's just for fun, it's just advertisement because it looks very good. But when you trying to do something useful, this is how you feel. You have super long chat, which I'm in the beginning. I spent 20 minutes to write the initial chat. Then the solution, it took me 10 minutes to analyze that it's not working. Another 5 minutes took me to understand where is the problem. Then I spent another 10 minutes to improve my chat, and I'm working like this. My chat is super long. It's 1,000 lines of history here. I still don't have some result that I can take to the code and continue. And then I say to myself, I think 20 or maybe 30 questions ago, I choose the wrong branch. Now I need to go back and find what was the most appropriate code I find out, and try from there. And then I'm thinking, no, let's start a new chat from the beginning, and maybe we will copy paste some good points. But how can I find these good points? It's so long history, and what contains this history? Most that it contains is wrong answer, which we didn't liked. Okay, so what I'm saying, instead of working like this, work like you can see in this diagram. So after you analyzing the question answer and understanding what's wrong, instead of asking new question, you just can edit the existing one. And first of all, it's much faster. You don't need to copy paste something. You just clicking on the edit. You will see it a lot of time who did not familiar with this option, because we will do it later in live. So when I'm not editing question but asking another one, when the solution I got has value for me. If it's valuable, I'm saying, okay, maybe it's valuable for the history of the evolution of this class. Maybe I want later to see how we reach the last version of this class and where is the intermediate versions. Okay, but in case I'm receiving something I don't like and I need to improve it, I'm just improving it. Okay, so finally, and you will see it in live today. Finally, I'm getting the good answer, which can be taken to the code, and my chat history is short enough that I easily can analyze it, and then the history of all my chats become to be valuable. Think about the next situation. Okay, now I just told you that it's very good that your prompt is short, because you don't need to find something in this chat to find something usable, because only usable things in the chat. Now think about next thing. Your team lead comes to you and says, remember some class you developed half a year ago. Now we find some performance issues, or we want to improve something, or we have some new feature to develop for this, or we found some bug. And now you need to go to that class you wrote last time half a year ago and continue developing on it. Do you agree that if you have the history, in case this class was developed by help of the ChatGPT, and I will show you how I'm doing that, but in case this class was developed by, and you have all the history, the good history, and I will give you some tips how you can make to find this history very fast, and you look at this and say, okay, and now you have two benefits. First of all, you can remember what was with much more quality and faster. The second thing, you already have the configured prompt to continue. You have the context, everything inside. Just write another line inside the same chat and continue developing this class. Okay, think how many time you can save. Okay, today we maybe not have the long history, but think about what will happen after several years of work in case we will really make an effort to keep our history clean and useful. And in order to do it even better, I thought that in case we have the mess in the chat regarding several classes, for example, I'm developing some microservice and then I'm asking, please develop a microservice, and I'm receiving a lot of classes and all this in the same chat. Maybe I'm not saying it's wrong approach, but it can be good in the beginning to decide what the classes you need to develop for the task, kind of architecture. But today I'm not talking about making the architecture from the top. I'm talking about the concrete task you need to develop, the most daily work. And then I'm deciding, okay, this should be my class. When I'm developing that class, I see that I need assistant like another class. But for each class, I want to do different prompts. Okay, so now let me start from the rules, which was kind of summary of the end of the previous session. And I changed it a bit. It was the summary of the previous session. Now it will look like this. So let me explain the rules. And from here, we will continue to work on our tasks. We will start from the beginning, but we'll don't worry, the guys who already heard the first session, it will be interesting. Okay, I will the first part I will not go to the live coding, but I will gonna show you the new prompts I created, and I checked it several times when I'm working in a different approach with single responsibility. Okay, so let's see the rules. So first of all, before starting, before you start, do something in ChatGPT. You need one time in your life, maybe update it once per you change your rules. Explain about yourself. Okay, so how you do that? You go to the ChatGPT, and here you can see custom instructions. And then you can say, I'm a senior software engineer. I work with ChatGPT mostly in order to improve the coding productivity. Tell whatever you want. And here you can give the rules like you give to Sonar. Like we work in Java 17. I want to use Maven, Lombok to avoid boilerplate. I love solid principles, object-oriented paradigm, and so on and so on. Now, it doesn't guarantee that now ChatGPT do all these rules always, but I can say you in my own experience again, but actually not only mine because I talked with a lot of people, that it saves time. Okay, it's not that I will never see try and catch instead of sneaky throws of Lombok, but I will see it much less. Okay, and we will talk about it again because it will be important in some other context. So this is the first rule. Rule number two: chat history can be very valuable, so keep it clean and useful. And the advices I can give you, it's first of all, we will do single responsibility in prompt engineering, so it will be class per prompt or prompt per class. This one thing to make your history clean and useful. Second thing, the option of edit. Every time you edit in something, you can, for example, you in the end of this chat, and now you understand that from here, from this question, it had a wrong branch. So you can click on edit, and after you clicking, all the history will disappear. Yeah, sure, you can see what was the previous version before that. You see, you can see your history inside the fixes, but in order to keep history clean, I sometimes use the edit in the middle in order to delete that I don't want to see it what was here before, because I understood that it's not my approach. Okay, so this is that. Another advice I can give you, it's never write something to not relevant chat. Like, some chat GPT window is open and somebody calling and you do some things, and then you want to check, you write in the mail and you want to check that you don't have, your grammar is good, and and then and it's already opened, and you drop this question to ChatGPT because it's like Google for you. So forget about it. If you want the really benefits from ChatGPT, it's not Google. We should not work with it like it's Google. Okay, so every time open new chat. And one more thing I'll tell you, I started to do it several weeks ago, and it really helps. Every time I'm finishing the chat, before closing it, I'm thinking about deleting it or not. Okay, because if, for example, I ask something which is for current situation, and I will not remember the answer because I don't need to remember it, and I'm not interested to remember it, maximum I will ask it again. For what to keep such a chat? Okay, or maybe I'm chatting with ChatGPT in order to learn something and finally understood some concept, but I don't need the history of the chat because I already understood it. Okay, maybe you want to keep it because it was very valuable, so keep it. But in case you keep your chat and not delete it, give me a favor, give yourself a favor, rename this chat to something which will help you to find that. Okay, you know that you have an option just to click on this icon. So this is two icons you need to click in when you finished your conversation for now. Okay, if you want to continue this prompt or to keep it for history, so you rename it. If you not, you delete it. Okay, so we adding additional value to the history by making it without garbage. Next advice, which is working, and again, I talked with a lot of people. They were not agree in the beginning, but finally they understood what is the idea. I'm not talking about that short prompt is better than long prompt. I'm telling you that don't try to start with a long prompt if you don't have any long instruction already. Start with as short prompt as you can. In case we work by single responsibility, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to start the new prompt from the name of the class. I'm just saying, please develop JSON reader to map binder, something like that. And believe me, sometimes it's getting me more result than when I'm providing a long prompt. Sure, I need to clarify something later, but it's much easier than when you're working with the long prompt. Additional advantage, when you start from the long prompt and you didn't got the needed result, and now you need to fix where to fix, what to fix. You have a long prompt, which and how can you know which of your sentences uh, is giving value or not giving value if you have a lot of sentences in the beginning? I prefer to add it one by one, and this and this and this and this. So I ask maybe 3 times instead of asking one. But I'm learning in addition that I'm less tired because I'm not working with a long history, and I'm receiving the result, in my opinion, faster than when I'm starting with long prompts. But one additional advantage of this approach, I learn how to work with ChatGPT. I more and more understand which sentences has uh, um, does influence and which sentences can even make worse. Okay, so start with short prompts. All these rules I gonna implement today in live. We have 2 hours from now, so don't worry, it will be a lot of examples, and maybe nothing will work, and then in the end of the talk I will say, okay, this approach can work in cosmos, in vacuum. But last days it worked very good. uh, so the most important rule, and we'll try to keep it, and this is not so simple, but if you will think about it more, you will understand that it's not even simple. This is how we need to work, no matter we work with ChatGPT or not, because we need to work by single responsibility. We want to have unit tests on each component we develop. So why not to have uh, private chat per each component? It's not so complicated. So, and I know what you can say. You can say, but when you open the new chat, you don't have a context. I will show you what to do with that. We have a solution. My convention is when you work with single responsibility, the name of your chat, finally, you should rename it to the name of the project dot name of the class, for example. Okay, it can be good convention in my opinion, and then you can easily open the chat and say, aha, Devrelish, it's like Devrelish, Devrelu. Devrelish, it's the name of the project, and the config is the name of the file, name of the class, Devrelish and object factory. Okay, so it's very easy for me to find these chats later because I always know how they called. One more thing, don't try to get 100% of result. Aim to 80-20. I think you understand what I mean. If you have a little experience from ChatGPT, you already know that you can spend a lot of time. You can receive 80% of needed result in 10 minutes. And then in order to receive additional 20%, you can spend several days and not to receive it at all. And then to broke the 80% you have in the beginning, right? So never try to achieve 100%. And it's very, very personal. What can be 18 and what can be 20. For example, if somebody don't love generics and the only thing left, everything is good in the method I got from ChatGPT. Finally, I received a good implementation, but something wrong with generic, and I have some mismatch in assigning variable to some returning value from the method because of the mismatch of generics. If I'm good in generics and I'm saying, for me, it's a couple of minutes, so maybe it's included in my 20%. So I will not ask again from ChatGPT to fix something, because every time you ask him to fix something, there is a chance that he will broke something else. So if I see that, in my opinion, it's only 20% left for me, maybe I will not spend my time, even if it was the first question. I will go and I will finish it by myself. And very important thing, after you did that, after you fixed the 20%, sync your ChatGPT this prompt with your current code from IntelliJ in my case. Okay? I just copy paste it and say, for your information, first of all, you need to say, wow, it was a good solution. If you received 80%, thank him. It really helps. He understand, at least in the window of this prompt, he understand that this is better than the previous. So say him, good job, but I improved a little bit your class. Look at this. And I'm giving him the class, and I'm saying in the end, don't answer. It's just for your information, for in case we will want to continue development on this chat, on this class. And he said, got you. Wow, you fixed my generic. Wow, you are so smart. So we just say thank you one to each other, and this chat is remained for the next steps in case they will be. Okay, so this is the rules. And now let's deep dive into development. So the first part will be without live coding, because I'm just going to show you what we did the previous session, but it will be different because I'm working by single responsibility. And then the last classes, maybe we'll take a chance again and we'll start live coding with the same rules we see now. I prefer to take a chance. Okay, so we starting, remember that we had class Devrelza, and we asked ChatGPT which is of solid rules is broken here. So ChatGPT told us that the dependency inversion principle is broken because I'm instantiating a lot of fields in my Devrelza, and with in the previous session, we calculated that finally Devrelza has more than 10 responsibilities, because Devrelza not only knows to execute Devrel strategy, but she knows how to choose implementation of Devrel analyzer and decided that this implementation should be taken, and decides for implementation of metric collector and for the producer. And in addition, she knows how to create these implementations. In addition, she knows how to configure this implementation. So the Railsa works like a factory now, okay? And that's what more or less the explanation from ChatGPT. And he tried to push me to the Spring, to Dependency Inversion, but because this session is not only about ChatGPT, but we need to understand how Spring working by that we implementing thing like Spring by ourselves. So I want to go step by step, and we go with a history of evolution of object-oriented programming to approximately 2003, when design pattern object factory was very popular, and we asking in order to solve the problem of that I'm instantiating by myself. I want to apply to some object factory. I need here some object factory to call it, to say, let me fix it in all the classes simultaneously. Uh, okay, so object factory, I need you here. Forgot the equals. Object factory, get instance, create object, and it will be here the Devrel analyzer. Here it will be metric collector. And you see, I'm not working with the implementation. I want the flexibility. It's still not good. Yes, we still use here the lookup and not in the dependency inversion, but it's much better than it was, and we're still in 2003. We need to see all the roadmap of Spring evolution. Okay, so in order to write such a factory, I asked for ChatGPT, very simple thing. After he explained me that I have a problem, I asked for write class object factory, which should be your singleton with method create object, which will receive a type. And I explained that it can be not only class, it can be an interface, like we can see here, right? We ask for the res analyzer, and this is interface. Okay, yeah, I'm lucky I have only one implementation, so it's very easy for config to find out which implementation should be binded. But in case it will be several implementations, we will need to think about additional solution how we solve that, and we will do that. But I'm explaining for now that Object Factory should work against interface as well, and I'm explaining. I'm giving some insight of the architecture. Okay, again, you need to be. I don't believe that somebody who not understand in development something will successfully write a good code, because he will not be able to analyze the results on the quality. Okay, so I'm not cheating here. I'm just saying, okay, with my experience, I can more or less think about that. I love single responsibility, right? So I don't want that the responsibility to know about this binding or scanning of the packages or finding some implementations will be a responsibility of Object Factory, because the name of Object Factory telling me that factory should create an objects, not configure them, not find the implementations. Find the implementations, so to know about some user configuration is the responsibility of config. So it's very logic explanation. So I'm saying write Object Factory, but it should take to work with config and ask some config. I don't know how the config will look like about object implementation. I didn't talk about config. I'm concentrating on the object factory because I'm working by single responsibility. I'm thinking about the connection of my classes with whom it will be connected, but not more than that. Not how, not should somehow. Okay, so now we getting here the result, which is not bad. Because my question was regarding one class and not a lot of things. So I have object factory, which is eager singleton, like I requested, with private constructor, with the get instance method of 2003, with method create object, which takes a type, checks if the type is interface, and he is changing the implementation. You see, he's asking exactly like I said, he's asking some config, what the implementation of this type. Actually, I'm not loving it. What you don't love in this implementation? Okay, let me see if you are alive. Katerina, can you help me? Uh, what will be the answer uh, from our engineers? What you don't like in this short method?
Just a second. So far, I have, by the way, two questions. Probably we can cover them
Okay.
while we are waiting for the replies. So,
Sure,
what
sure.
additional AI? Hmm? Sorry?
What additional AI am I using?
Yeah, what additional AI tools you are using in addition to ChatGPT?
I'm using Cloudy, but Cloudy is available only in USA and in the United Kingdom. It's very strong competitor. It's by Anthropics, I think, was developed, and the advantage of it that it is updated till today. You can ask what the weather, and you will receive an answer. And other features is very similar to ChatGPT. It's strong, more or less like ChatGPT. But for development, I'm using mostly this one.
Then actually another question but a comment. By the way, you can create multiple pointers in different places in IntelliJ. There are a few ways. That's it.
In
uh, yeah, and sorry.
No, I didn't hear the IntelliJ. You said different points in IntelliJ or IntelliJ.
Yeah, yeah,
It's good
IntelliJ.
here. So I'll tell you what's I don't love. First of all, the object. I don't love that people will need to be needed to make a casting. We can use generic here. And the second thing is, I don't love that he's overriding the original type. It's not the final version of my object factory. I understand that it will be additional interesting things which can we do with our object, and I'm not sure that the original type is lost in the beginning. Maybe we will mark some annotations in our class, and we will need to scan them. Maybe some other things related to original type or interface. So I don't love this as well. I prefer to keep the original type, not to override it. More or less, that is all. Okay. So what have I done with that? It's not the end because he used the config I mentioned. He even said that the config should look like this, and
Yeah, just wanted to briefly read the comments because I wasn't got back to you like on time. But the comments were as follows: there was no null check. Maybe there can be a single line return this on or that. Then type is changed. Better to not change the incoming param. Then could be multiple implementations. Uh, it assigned the implementation to the type param, and the last one, no types.
yep. Okay, so mostly 80% was the comment which was mentioned by me. So think about that. You will do exactly like what I did. Uh, as I told, it's 80-20%, right? So I'm thinking about my capabilities. I'm saying how it's difficult to me to change this object to generic and to fix this problem. It's less than 20% I got. So I will do it by myself. And the next thing I did that. And after I did that, I went to ChatGPT and I said him, great job, but I improved it with generic. Don't answer for your information. And now I'm thinking that this is even not enough. You need not to say just for information, to say it will be used in the later on use based on this version, something like this. It gives even better results. And like I said, I just added the generic here, and I exactly like somebody from the comment told that in one line, so I can return it in one line, and my type is still, in case I will be needed it here later, the original type is remained. Okay, and Now, the next task for me is to start working on the config, right? Because the current config implementation is just kind of even not semi ready. It has a map and he wants me to fill this map automatically. And I'm saying that in most of the cases, it will be only one implementation for the interface, right? Uh, I hope you will not ask me, so why to work with interfaces in case we have only one implementation? Because today we have only one implementation. Tomorrow we maybe we'll have another one, and in case you started without an interface, you have a serious problem and a very strong refactor to do. And in addition, maybe I have only one implementation, but in test I have again only one implementation, but another one. And maybe when I'm giving my application to the client, he have additional jars with his own implementation of something. So it can happen that it will be more than one implementation. Because of that, I need to have an option to bind interface against class, but I don't want to do it for each interface, even in case it has only one implementation. So the next thing I asked, and because we're working by single responsibility, after I locked this chat by saying great job, the next thing I did, I opened another chat which called Devrelish config. I changed this name after I worked a little bit here. And we can see that I did several improvements here in the beginning, but I started from that point. I'm saying improve the config class. And sure, I took this version that I got in the previous chat, which almost empty, but I loved the connection between my object factory and the config. Okay, I love the generics here, so everything is good. So because of that, it's important to me not to start from scratch with the config. Otherwise, if I'll start from the scratch, I will be able to finish it, but it will be more complicated for me to combine them together. Okay, so again, try to understand my vision, and I'm not saying that it's good for every task. I'm saying it's a lot of daily tasks which can work with my vision. So my vision is I'm an architect of the code, but I'm not technician. So I'm asking from ChatGPT to provide me a lot of details, and the combination of the details I'm doing by myself, but I want that it will be easier for me to do this binding of the details. I don't want to open them, to close them, to change their sizes and have a lot of compilation problems and signatures which mismatching and make a lot of fixes in both of the classes. Because of that, when I'm starting the new chat and I'm asking for development some class, I want to show important points of integration with other classes. If you will say me, Evgeny, but it's too much points. You need to bring 17 classes to one chat in order to explain to ChatGPT what is the context in order to develop the new class number 71. You know what will I answer you? If your class number 71 uses inside 70 other classes and correspond with 70 other classes with different APIs, I think you have very serious problem, at least with single responsibility. And if you have problem with single responsibility, you have a lot of problems because other rules will be broken. So usually it should work, okay? And I'm not developing super primitive thing. I'm developing Spring Framework, and I'm trying to convince you that even when developing Spring Framework, I will be able to work by single responsibility, and I will have chat per class. In case my class is person, I don't need to talk with ChatGPT at all, because all this work is less than 20%, because it's zero. Okay, but if I need help of ChatGPT, I want with him to develop this. This is my rules: chat per each class and keep your history clean. Okay, so I'm saying improve the config class. In case map doesn't contain any binding, we can scan packages and hope that only one implementation will be in the class path. And that was my final no. And here I'm showing him the config class I had, and it was exceptional case. I added here object factory as well. Usually I'm not. No, I'm sorry. No. It's exactly what I'm saying. Okay, so I had the beginning of this class. It will not be always like this. The next classes I will start from scratch. I will not have this starting. This starting I got because the prompt of previous chat was so kind that he gave me some beginning, and it is very good. Usually, not usually, but a lot of cases it will be vice versa. You will start from the second class, and when he is be finished, you will say, "But now I need to integrate with that one," and please change the signatures as needed. Uh, no matter from which side. Okay, it was more convenient for me. I already have this config class, so I put him here, and then I say, and this is object factory which should use config. Okay, uh, maybe it can be even enough to just to put this method, not to put all the class. But you know what, for me it is faster to make copy paste on all the class, because I'm not sure what exactly should be taken. So copy paste all the class, put it here. It cannot be too long because this class was generated by ChatGPT before. But in case it is very long, you can take the particular part to give some examples what will be the usage of config. And if you want to see what was the previous, and I have this is my editions. You see, it was history of 5 editions. Usually I'm using 4. If after 4 this is not yet another rule, I'm not sure I can say it, but I'm saying it. It is my own rule. If after 4 times of regenerate with small fixes, I'm not going to the right place, I understand that I need to do it by myself or change the strategy totally. Okay. But if I see that every fix gives me better result, but it's still not 80%, I'm continue fixing. So you can see that in the beginning, this sentence was very short. I just set him write only config class, but because without that, he will write me both object factory, but with single responsibility. I don't need object factory. I need only concentrate on config. But after I did that, he gave me something which was I don't remember what was the problems, but it was a problems with generics or something like that. We can see it by seeing what I improved. So after that, I'm saying, do not use this. Use T when you can. The next was, you see, like I'm saying, start from short prompt, and then you can add it because you can see what's wrong. How you can write a long prompt if you don't know what will be wrong? So 3, it was by mistake. 4 was use T or T extends T when needed, not T when possible. And the last fix, you know why I did that? Because I don't love complicated generics. I know the theory, I know the simple one, but in my daily work, in the last months, I'm not daily writing code. So it's waste of my time to fix the problem of generic. If I need to fix something of reflection, I'm very good in that. And maybe you will say, it should be vice versa. It's very personal. My 80% is not your 80%. My 20% is not your 20%. It's not because I'm better. I can be worse in generic, but better in something else. So do not judge people how they decide, but everybody should decide where his 80% starts, 20%. So we have the private map. I wanted to see what was this was the final fix. In case zero implementation, or more than even mistake, it should be or more than one implementation, throw an exception with different message. You understand what I'm talking about? Config should scan for the implementations because I'm lazy. I don't want to manage some config file. Just scan it. But what will happen if you have zero implementations? And what will happen if you have more than one? In the previous history, it was good enough for me, but you see, it was only one exception he threw, and it was multiple or zero. Now, I looked at this and I said, can I do it by myself? Will it be less than 20%? And I said, yes. And then I said, okay, but uh, let's try. Maximum I can go back by clicking on this back button. And I tried, and it gave me the same, but with two messages. Okay. And then I took this config file to IntelliJ, and it was good enough. It worked. It worked. But the next thing we did, and I think it's more or less here, the thing started breaking. We tried. Let's see what is the current status. The current status of the Revrelia is to create by Object Factory, and Object Factory in create object. No. It's a little bit it's a little bit advanced. I think. Okay, in order to save the time, maybe we can keep this version, because it's all no, not good, not good. Let's delete it. Let's be honest. Let's at least comment it. At least comment it. I don't have any configurators. I don't have init configurators. I will show you later on where is this came from and why. It will be the next step. In this stage, we have only the create object method, which is not configuring some object. We don't know what is to configure object. We can just create it like this, and we don't have this method at all. Okay. So this is exactly the last version we have in our prompt. Object Factory, which works with config. It creates config by itself. It's not good, but we will fix it later on. Now we don't have any other concept. And the only method we have the create object. If its interface asks config for the implementation, and if it brings us some implementation, we take the constructor of the implementation and then create the object. Otherwise, we create this one. Okay. And we have the config, which, okay, it's already with a fix. It's already with fix. Okay, let me comment this, and let me comment this. So it was the config we got from ChatGPT. You see, it has the map of class against interface. The map is empty. We configure how to scan the package. Did we analyze the result we got here? This is the result we got here. I took to IntelliJ, where it starts. Get implementation. You see how the get implementation is working? It uses the library called reflections. Where I can find it? Sorry. Config create. Is this the last? It's number 5. No. No. Yeah, here you see with two different exceptions. So we use the reflections. Reflection, it's library which was suggested by ChatGPT to help me for the scanning. Okay, so he did that. Sometimes he wrote me the what I need to write in the poem, but usually I don't care, because I'll enter in IntelliJ, and IntelliJ, please find maybe dependency and add it to the poem, and he's doing that. And he's doing that better than ChatGPT, because IntelliJ knows better about the versions. And then in my config class, we just instantiate these reflections. And you see, it's even different from my version now, because he suggested something better than I did, but it's not so important for me. I don't want to change something in Object Factory. And if I'm thinking about the future, I'm not sure that Object Factory will create config at all. Maybe we'll have some higher level of abstraction. So it's not so important for me who will provide the name of the packages which should be scanned, because any case in the beginning, meanwhile, it will be just hard coded. It will be hard coded, and in my version, and I changed it and I locked it. you see, my config not receive something. Otherwise, I need to make fix in Object Factory. And in this moment, I don't want any fixes in Object Factory. So I'm just creating the reflections and configure it to the package hard-coded. Later, it will be configured parameter. And in the get implementation method, we can okay, no matter. Now, you see, I'm saying him great job, but I improved the exception message. And what I have done, so I took the version from him. Fix it a little bit, again, less than 20%. And one of the small fixes I have done, I added this line of code because I wanted that in the message log, he just wrote me, this interface has more than zero or more than one. No, it was after the fix. So he's running me, the interface metric collector has two implementations. Or more than multiple implementations, but what are the names? So I just wanted to add the names of the implementations to the log, so I just did it with Stream API and added it here. And after my fix, I went back to my chat and say, thank you, great job, but this is my fixes in the config class, and now we are working together. You see, you give me 80%, I give you 100, but we always keep that both in IntelliJ and here. And he thank you for sharing your improvement to the exception message. Using Stream to concatenate the class names of multiple implementation is a good way to provide more detailed information. So we are happy one with each other. We're very good friends. He's saying good things to me and back. Very good. Now, the next thing, we are stopping here. Okay, the reason you see the continuation, it's not in that moment. In that moment, we finished with the config. Actually, not. But we thinking about that. Do you remember what was broken in the previous session? In the previous session, the next step I did, I wanted to have something like JSON file called config.json, where I can provide additional information about my implementations in case it will be multiple implementations. For example, if I will delete this information, or will I cannot delete because it will fail. Okay, so let's say something like this. Okay, I don't have such a classes, so this mapping doesn't make any sense. And now if we will run the main, the only thing the Rails, okay, the Rails is not, it's still created by new because she's configured by herself. You see, I have an exception, multiple or zero implementations. By the way, the fix I did in another IntelliJ. The IntelliJ which is updated for my ChatGPT is IntelliJ with final version, and I don't want to show you the final version. It's my backup if something will go wrong. So here it's a version which is in the middle. So I can just take easily this improvement. Let's take all this. No, it's different. No, it's. I'm looking at the wrong place. Here. No, it's no implementation. Where is the message with here multiple? Okay. You see how many problems I have in case I'm trying to cheat, because I'm looking in one IntelliJ where I just started, and I'm looking at the ChatGPT where the code is much more improved. But soon it will be synchronized. Don't worry. So I want just to add this and to change this. like this. Okay, now if we will run, the exception message will be more informative. It's not called classes, it's called here subtypes, or what was that? Yep. Okay, multiple implementations found, and we have optimistic metric collector or metric collector 2, something like that. Okay, so the next thing I've did is I start thinking about how can I solve it, and I decided that I want to manage some JSON file where I will be able to say things like this. And now if I'll run it, uh, multiple implementations still found. And what are then? Because we commented it out. But what we did in the previous session and what was wrong, we went to the same chat. Actually, we worked in only one chat without single responsibility, and just added here a new question. The question was, please update our config with functionality that in case that we have some JSON file, blah blah blah. And he he did that in the same class, and I started to have a mess. What I'm thinking now, I'm thinking that I need to work by single responsibility. I need new responsibility. I need some new class. And his responsibility will be just to scan JSON file, to take the data from it and to put it inside map. And then config will be able to take it in the beginning of the constructor. So look what I did. I went to my JSON mapper. It's new prompt, by the way. Let's rename it and let's call it by the convention. It's and look what I've started from. So it will be called Devrelish JSON to object map. Okay, like this. Now the first try. Look what was it. I just said him write JSON to map reader, which will receive name of a file and will build map class to class. That's all. Super short prom. He gave me result, but this result was not so. And I provided the no, I'm sorry, and I gave him the config because again it will be my responsibility to combine them together, this JSON to map reader, which will help to config, and the config. I will combine them together. So in order it will be easier for me, I'm providing the config to this prompt and start from that. So let's see how many fixes I did, only 3. And I'm saying always, that's I'm saying always in the beginning, write only JSON to map reader. After he gave me the result, maybe I didn't change something. I changed it. I changed here. I even provided less information. In now it become better because when I tried to explain for him that I want map class to class, I limited him, and he didn't understand me correctly. What I did finally, I said him write JSON to map reader, which will receive name of a file and will build map of class to interface in order my config will be able to get implementation against the interface. Very simple explanation, which somebody 10 years old easily can provide. And I got, first of all, he said me I need to add JSON data bind. And then he created JSON to map reader, which has the map of class to class, but actually it's interface to implementation. And it has object mapper inside, and it creates the map empty and the object mapper. And then it takes from the resources by the file name, and I need to provide the file name exactly like I asked, read JSON to map. And in case we do have something, file was found, he just read the value from input stream, convert it to the map, and then it race through this map. And with class for name, because we have the map which contains the name of the classes, fully qualified name of the classes. So we use class for name in order to instantiate the instances. And then it just put it into the map. Maybe we can fix it with Stream API, but actually I'm looking at it so simple. The thing, and what I'm thinking more, maybe it should be static method because it looks like kind of utility class, but let's keep it for now, not so important. And then he even says for me, like it was done in the previous combination between object factory and config, this is what I need to fix in my config after in order to start using it. You see, still it is my responsibility to integrate these two classes together, but I did such a lot of explanation for him, but I spent very few seconds because you saw my prompt. It's not a lot of time I spent, and now it's almost nothing for me left with the integration because he prepared for me all needed stuff. He says in your config you need to use these two lines, and this is exactly two lines I just commented now, and because of that, it's still not working. So you see, it's still an exception. But if I'll go to my config, and I will say here in the constructor that in addition that we configure in our friend reflections, I need the same configure this one, and I'm saying it use config JSON file, which you already saw. Again, it's hard-coded, but it's hard-coded meanwhile. After, when I will receive the most of functionality of my framework, I will start refactoring in order to extract things outside. It will be much more simple, and it will be my job, not ChatGPT. It's it's too small for him. Okay, and if we will run this now, maybe I commented additional things. No, you see now it's working, and I'm receiving the result which is correct. If I will change the name of the implementation, what was another one? It was not optimistic metric collector. This one is provide just random number. It will be the next task to start supporting the inject random int and to combine together the logic which support that. But if we look at the metric collector, the second implementation is this one, and it's always 0. And if we'll take this name of the class and we will put it in config JSON file, we will see that 0 will be printed. You see, $0. This implementation is not working good. Okay, so now we see that finally we have some benefits from our framework. The first, but the bold benefit, I can change, I can play with flexibility without touching the code. I'm just changing something in the JSON file, and I see that different objects will be created with my factory. Let's go back. Okay, so now we can say we more or less we have done with the part of the config and the object factory. For now, we can think about some additional functionality. Let me check that I finished the prompt here. Yeah. Yes. This was the end. This was the end of this prompt. And the next thing is to develop support for inject random int annotation. I understand that it's funny, and annotation inject random int, no matter what, it's very understandable what it should do, but I believe it's not so useful in the real world. But it's very useful for me to give you an example of annotations I can start supporting because it's simple and understandable example. Later on, it will be more complicated examples, but let's start from the simple one. So, for example, my metric collector want to start with initial metrics, which should be random number between 100 and 200. Okay, so for example, if I'll fix this, I already did that. If I'll make a comment here, you will see that the number will be very low. You see, it's only $300. But if I will uncomment this, it will not work, I hope, because I didn't yet did what ChatGPT will tell me in a couple of minutes. But you see that this annotation is not working, and it's not funny. Annotation is not a magic. The processes which scanning in the particular moments our classes and looking for some annotations about methods or classes or fields, they do the magic. But we don't have this magic yet. And look how I started. I opened again the totally new chat, and my first question was, I think I even not started from that. I started from that. I provided here because it will be functionality of injector of factory, right? At least that's how it look like. It should be related to the factory because factory creating the object, not config. Okay, it's not responsibility of config to configure the object. It's related to the factory phase. Okay, so what I have did, I'm say I have class. You see, this is the beginning of the prompt from scratch. I have class object factory, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm saying, write inject random int annotation object configurator. Looks funny, right? If you're familiar with me for a couple of time, you know that I always, and it was very, you maybe thought it was just for fun, but I was serious. I said you several times something like, if you write in bin post processor and the name of the class is less than 30 letters, you are not serious. So I was serious. Okay, I was serious. It's not a joke. And now I see how serious I was. In case I given such a good, understandable name, and if you think that ChatGPT familiar with personally with me, no. I asked from my friends to do the same, and they got more or less the same result like me. And you can try it by yourself. And I'm saying just write injector and read. I'm telling you more. If you will do it just this, even just this, without saying object factory, you still will, you know what? You don't believe me. I understand. You don't believe me, but here it is. GPT-4, not free. Now he will do the wrong solution. No. No chance he will do the correct service. You see, he says, first of all, you need to create inject random int annotation, as I understand you, and then we will can create blah blah blah. And then he explained me how this annotation should look like, and he says it should be retention runtime, and it should have min and max, maybe with default values. Usually it's 100, but now it's 10. No matter, it's not consistent. And then he says, wow, he says you need to have object configurator, and then this inject random int annotation object configurator will implement the object configurator because he understand. Actually, he doesn't understand, right? ChatGPT doesn't understand, but sometimes I think that we as a people like him doesn't understand as well, don't understand. So let me use this sentence. He understand that it will be additional things like that. So he decided to provide some object configurator interface, and then he has pure good solution with some random, which is final, which is instantiated only once in the constructor. And here we have scanning. We have the T object, and then he want to take the declared fields. Maybe I want not only declared fields, and I can say him, no matter, you understand how that I can improve it a little bit, and then or improve it by myself. And again, it depends where is my 20%, where is my 80%. Then I'm taking the annotation, and then I'm taking the min and max from the annotation, fields accessible true, calculating the random value, and setting the random value inside. Great, good. But now see what I'm doing. This chat was just to show you something that it's work. We're not going to work with that. It just was an example. So I'm deleting it. Never keep chats which is just was for something not related to something. Uh, but here I said it will not be so complicated for me to take the current implementation of object factor and then ask the question, because the next question I'm going to ask is how will I integrate between two of them? Because I understand it should not be responsibility of object factory to scan for all kind of annotation we're going to invent in the future. Okay, the responsibility of the factory is to create an object and maybe to use some friends which will do some additional stuff to this object. And I'm thinking about that, and because of that, I thought that the one who will be responsible for inject random int is inject random int annotation object configurator. And then he understood that I want object configurators and provided this one. And yeah, we have this. What in your opinion I should do now? Hmm? Now I want to integrate this one to Object Factory to check if it's working. But before that, let me give you one more rule, and I should fix my slides because it's not there yet. Uh, you can finish each prompt with a test. Okay, so I can show you what I did. The next thing I did, I said write a test. And then he said, certainly inject random annotation object configurator, blah, blah, blah. And then he created some help object with random between 3 and 7. And then he created a test and then setup. And I put everything into my code. And from the first attempt, it worked. And I can show you because here is the project which worked till the end. Here is everything is working, but I can show you that this inject random int annotation, we changed the signature. We changed the signature later on. Very interesting. So here should be application context. So I don't have it. So okay, nah. It's still mock no matter. You see? Ah. You see, this test is passing, but if I'll go to my inject random limit annotation configurator, this one, you see, this is the class we just saw now in ChatGPT. And I will comment this one, for example, you will see the same test will not pass. Okay? Assert false. What's related problem? I think it's related. No, there is no problem. It's IntelliJ problem. Okay, and now I received it back. Yeah, now when I return it back, we will see the test is passing. Okay, so this test was really good with JUnit 5. Everything is good. And after I was, I am sure that inject random annotation object configurator is ready enough because even the test on his functionality is working. I can start integrating between it and between Object Factory. Okay, so where I'm going back to my Object Factory prompt. Remember, we finished with that. I said him thank you, and this is the last version. I just fixed the T and here that. Now I'm saying you need to configure each object which created by create object method by all existing object configurators, and then I given him the interface which was invented by ChatGPT, and I giving him. You see, I not always need to put all the class. I'm just showing him the usages. I'm saying by using. No. Sorry. When I did that, when I did the first time, I received not so good result because I think he just with hard coded and implemented. You see, he say config get implementations object. Interesting, because this is a more or less final version, not 1.3. Okay, maybe I did it in another try. So why when I in the beginning started chatting with him, he created some code which hard coded insert the it's improvements I did. So in the beginning, he just in the constructor of Object Factory created the list of configurators and just said list of configurators dot add new inject random int annotation object configurator. So hard coded. It was not good. And then I asked from him, please scan the configurators. And then what he did, he starts scanning these reflections. Okay, with again created reflections again, like, and then I said, just a moment, but config already have configured reflections. Okay, in our config we already we need to switch back to the project which is not ready, and let's see again the config. So in our config, we already have the reflections configured on the needed package. No matter that later on this information will come from some property file or from some convention or from somewhere else, but still it's config who is responsible to configure the reflections, because config knows and configs uses the reflections to find additional configurations or additional classes which contains metadata, which is configurations, and so on and so on. So it's not good for me that, and more than that, I already have the method which knows to bring me the implementation. What I need now, in order that Object Factory easily will find all implementations, all of my object configurators, okay, because again, my idea, and it's very easy to think about this idea, because when you look at the code where is written something like this, Object Factory, and in the constructor of Object Factory, you see hard-coded filling the list, you say, no, I need to bring it from somewhere else. Who knows to bring the implementations config? But I have only method in single get implementation. So I went to my config prompt. I know to do it by myself, but in any case, I need to synchronize it. And again, it's a story with generics. So I asked from him, and look, another tip how you can do that if you don't want him to break other things. Now I need to add just one additional method. So this is my config. Yes, this is the last version, and where he said, thank you for the streaming API, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm saying to him, write additional method, get implementations, which will return list. Okay. Before that, I didn't set the list, and then he gave me the set. And I think that maybe list will be better, because maybe someday the ordering will be important of this configurator. So let's start with list. But even if it was set, it was okay. And now, and yeah, I even didn't ask him. No. Okay, this is the last version. You see, in the last version, in order to make it better, because the result wasn't good enough, I provided the config class. No, where do we stand? Write additional method. No, I'm sorry. Here we are. Yes, it was only one try, only one shot, and it was fine. And here we received this additional method. Okay. And I just took all this class again to be synchronized, put it into config. Let's do it maybe. If I already not did that in this project, we can do it together. We have get implementation. No, we already have get implementations. It's just not in use for now. Okay, so let's go back to Object Factory. And now we need to make a combination between Object Factory and list of object configurators after we have the method which can return all types of configurators. Okay, so again, it was not rocket science that I invented it because I'm so smart. I tried without it. I said, just scan and find all configurators. And when I understood that he's copy pasting the code we already had, I just said, no. Please. And then I said, there is a missing method. So I added this method, and this is my explanation. I'm saying, look, I need you to configure each object with all configurators from this interface. This is how interface look, and you need use new method from config, which can give you all the implementations. And I'm saying create each configuration before putting it into list. Otherwise, he just put the classes, and then I say write only object factory class. Don't use create object when creating object configurators. It was another limitation. Without it, in the previous prompt, you see, without this sentence, he did me a code when Object Factory tries to create configurators by using the Object Factory itself. But Object Factory is not configured by itself because he's in the constructor phase. You see this one map. Init configurations, and init configuration is called from the constructor of Object Factory. Now let's see the solution which was last, which gave me 80%. And here we can see this was additional information for me. Write only object. Don't use create object when creating object configurators because it is not available in this phase. We are not working exactly like Spring. Spring a little bit different. It creates part of configurators before another ones, but more or less it's the same idea. And we will be not needed to manage the ordering, and Spring do. So we have advantages and disadvantages of our approaches. And now you can see he created the list of configurators. In the constructor, he asked config to bring all implementations of object configurator as a stream, and then he mapping it by invocation of the create configuration instance. Very smart move, because you cannot use sneaky throws annotation in the Lambda, but you can do it on the method, and then you don't need to handle exceptions of new instance. Okay, so create configuration instance, just receive the type of configurator, and then it just take the default constructor, which should be by convention, and create it. And then I'm putting it to the list. And the last change, we can see that here, first of all, he splitted it. Before that, you remember in the beginning it was in one line like this, but now he understands that this object should be configured and not immediately returned. So there is no two returns like it was. It's only one return in the end, but before return we call in the configure object method, and configure object method just with regular for iterates. Yes, I can change it to stream API, but I don't think it's so important. The main idea was good. And then I said, great job. Remember this version of Object Factory to the next task. Just for your information, don't answer now. Do you understand why I did that? This is a very rare example when I received such a good result that there is 0% of fixes from my side after these particular changes. And it's a lot of changes. Yes, he both added configurators, and he didn't touch the rest of the things. Okay, this method was no, I'm sorry. I just took this object factory as is. I took the whole object factory, put it in my IntelliJ, and it was perfect. So then I just said, great job. Remember this version of object factory to the next task. Don't answer now. Okay, now the next thing we're gonna do, and this is totally new, is inversion of control. We still have the lookup here, right? We still, the Relisa configures itself by using object factory. And this is an evil because, it's like the infrastructure leaks into your business logic, and exactly like in this town, when we build the infrastructure for what? That all the shit we will not see, and the town will be clean. But in case the infrastructure is leaking, like you can see in the Vrelza class, okay, I don't want it to be like this. I want to delete all mention of the object factory here, and to use some injection annotations, which I will ask from ChatGPT to support. What happened? Let me remove this. And the last one. Instead of, except from that, you understand that the information, this is not information, what I'm asking for the relation producer, but the field is the relation producer. So the if the factory will build the Devrelza, not like we can see now in the main method when we create the Devrelza with a new. Now we need to build the Devrelza with a factory like any other object. Okay, if we will build that, I can hope that some mechanism inside Object Factory or one of the friends of Object Factory will find some annotation I can put here, like something inject by type, something like that. I want the injection by type, not random integer, but by type. And in case this annotation will be present in the class, the mechanisms of Object Factory will understand the same information which was provided here, because here was said create object from this type. So this type is already present. So what am I doing? I need to develop something totally new, right? Totally new. Uh, do you want me to try to do something like this? Totally new chat and okay. Uh, let's say write support for this one. Totally new chat. I'm sure that if I was giving here some previous class, it would be better, but I didn't even decide which class I should give. Okay, he is thinking about Object Factory now. Maybe the better idea was, you see, the better idea is to give immediately the name of the class you're going to develop. If you understand your own architecture and you understand that each annotation behind it will be some annotation configurator, so you can ask for the particular inject annotation object configurator. But actually, we can see that it's more or less good solution. But from the technical perspective, but it's not. No, I don't like it. Let's say write support for write inject annotation. You see, I'm not keeping it in history because it's not valuable for me. Write inject annotation. Inject by type. I'm sorry. Inject by type annotation. Object configurator. Let's see if, and I don't need to wait till the end. If I'll see it will be bullshit, I can stop it and say, okay, I'll give you example of another configurator, or I can give you Object Factory in order you will be able to understand how we use it, something like that. Okay, it was not needed. You see, it was not needed. He already in the context. I don't understand how, because if you will ask ChatGPT, do you save my answers? He say never. But I don't understand how he. Maybe because of the suffix. Maybe he's really smart. Actually, he is not smart. Call it another word, but uh, okay. So he uses the reflections. Why I need the reflections here? Why he looks for the singleton annotation? Because this is just a constructor. So in the constructor, he's do something strange. He's look for singleton annotation. Then don't understand why he needs that and what he do with that. He finds maybe he think about that the injection should be done for the objects which is singleton in the beginning, something like that. No matter. Let's concentrate of the needed logic. So he says Let's iterate for the fields. Let's see if any field annotated by inject by type. If yes, we can take the type, and then he says find object by type. Okay, we need. Okay, I need to give him a context, right? It's much better, but I need to provide him a little bit from the context. Uh, let's say, okay, this question for you. Try to give me the ideas. What will be the best idea to improve this prompt, even with ChatGPT free? Okay, it will fast, so I will be able to check several solutions. Mhm.
I just wanted to suggest, meanwhile, while we are waiting for the comments, can we probably have a look at what we've got in the chat? So, the comment we actually got right in the middle of your talk. So, probably Alexei has changed his mind. I'm not sure. He wrote that it looks like a lot like you wasting time teaching and tuning the AI while you could do it fast on your own. So if your purpose is not to teach the model, then for now it is better to write the solution on your own. But then we got a different one from Oleg saying that generative AI is pretty good assistant if we are interacting with him properly. Your strategy looks great. Uh,
Thank you, Alex.
then,
Was a lot of blood
then
before I realized that this is a strategy. A lot of blood it drank from me.
question: have you tried using part ask questions if needed in your prompts to probably avoid ChatGPT assuming a lot of things and then making you edit your prompts to get the proper answer?
I need to see the text of the question. Can you drop it somewhere? Or
I'm Yeah, I'm gonna drop it in Microsoft Teams if it's okay. Yeah.
no?
Or you
Yeah, I
closed
can look.
it.
But in telephone I can look.
Okay. Here it is. Um, do you see it?
Yeah, yeah. Ask question if needed. It was in the quote. Ask question if needed. In your
Mhm.
prompts, it probably will be assuming a lot of things. Uh, yes and no. I didn't try it in when I prepared this talk. I didn't use this strategy, but I use this strategy in another kind of tasks. Maybe I will do another talk when I think this is very crucial part. But this is very good point. Maybe we can even try to see what will happen. I will not do it now, but maybe when I'm explaining about myself, maybe to tell that. I love when you asking question instead of saying bullshit. Before saying bullshit, maybe you can ask me. Okay, this is good point, but I don't have the statistics to say you how lot it will influence. Um, so let's leave it for the next topic. And thank you so much. It's really good, brilliant idea. Okay, so do we have the answers regarding what should be improved by me in addition to writing this?
Yeah, I'm just giving a sign. No, there are no answer.
Look, uh, I can do it like make it in style of, and I can provide the inject random int, which one is really similar to him because it's the same type, it's from the same interface. So it's less explanation for me. No, it maybe I need to say about the factory. Okay, let's try to, because factory will communicate with him, so it's more important that he will know about the factory. Uh, Object look at object factory which will use it, and then I can go to my object factory, and I even, okay, no matter. I'm saying that copy paste the class is very fast, so it's like this. That's all. Why? I didn't say save and submit. I think I didn't say save and submit. Yes, save and submit. Okay, let's see if it will improve something. Okay, annotation. Okay, object configurator implements object configurator better. Why he's taking the object factor in the constructor? Because actually it's interesting idea, but it's 80-20%. I will do it by myself. So now it looks good. Now it looks good. I think I can just copy paste it to my code. And in this with small changes, it will work. The only change I need to do is just to remove object factory from here. And let's see, get class, get declared fields, go through the fields, take only the fields which inject by type, and for each initialize field. And how do we initialize field? Settings accessible to true, and it has sneaky throws, so we don't care about exception. And then we use object factory. So the object factory is homemade singleton, so we can just object factory get instance. I don't understand how he missed it, because I gave him object factory. I gave him the object factory, which is maybe newer version without. No. It do have static method. Strange, maybe because of my comments, which is from the future here, because usually he's not giving that. Usually he's giving even much better result. But even with that, I can leave. I can copy that, and I can go here, and I can see if I. First of all, I need to create. No matter. Let me create this one new Java class. Let's take the name. It's very long. Control C, Control V, and then return.
Sorry, Evgeny, I wouldn't hurry you up, but you're expected for the panel discussion. So I just wanted to ask if they can start without you and you join later, or how many?
We have the panel discussion in 22 minutes, no?
Um, Let me check. Probably my mistake, but
Maybe it's no, more chances that it's my mistake. I'm not sleeping tonight, so it's everything I can mistake. Even my
yeah, yeah,
English
I
is
just checked. Yeah, I just checked, and yeah, the panel discussion should start actually. Yeah.
okay.
So,
So give me 5 minutes to close the
okay.
concept of. Actually, I think I need 1 more hour. I have so much things to show in it. So it's very good that the EPAM have a lot of conferences, and soon we'll have another one. But let me 5 minutes, and I
Okay,
will
five
finish with.
minutes, and I'll tell that the team may like start, and you join them in 5 minutes. Okay.
Great. Okay,
Thanks.
so this is. Uh, uh, okay, so let me. What he did here, write support for inject random type, and then he gave me immediately the needed configurator. You see, more or less the same code like we saw, but it's less than 20% of fix. Uh, I didn't delete my chat, so I can maybe regenerate. As I told you, oh no, somebody don't like me today. Unable to load set. I wanted to check this rule of let's try 3 or 4 times for generating implementation, because you see, it's it's not bad code, but it's a little bit more to fix than I thought in the beginning before I copy pasted this. Maybe it's not 20%, maybe it's 22. To do that, I need an object. and he forgot to provide here the object which will be configured, this one. So or I need to fix it manually, or I can ask ChatGPT, you forgot about an object, and then he will improve it. But I just don't want to waste our time. Let's say we already did that, and after he improved it, now we have this version where I have some good. I just opened it now, no? Client inject by type object configurator. I even provided a test here to check that it's working. Yes, so this was my implementation, and I wrote a test, and test worked. So let's put this one. Okay, and the annotation inject by type, I can create it by myself. It's less than 20%. So he's not suggesting. Now IntelliJ should make a competition with ChatGPT. He's not suggesting an interface. Tagir Valiev, if you hear me, uh, I I'm I'm disappointed. I will do it now with help of ChatGPT and not you, because you didn't suggested that I want an annotation. And what it can be if field is annotation present, what it can be, it's not interface. So I'm doing by myself, and I'm taking everything from ChatGPT. This is an annotation. Oh, and I'm taking everything from ChatGPT. Oh, wait, copy like this, and then the name of the configurator is not correct. It was inject by
Evgeny,
type.
sorry to interrupt you, but Baruch heard what you said. There's a suggestion, if you accept. He is okay to go to the panel discussion and you can proceed. What would you say?
Okay, so guys, let me summarize everything. I want to invite you to
No,
my next
it's
talk.
not a joke. It's not a joke. He's seriously. Are you going to the panel discussion?
I'm going. I'm just saying
Okay,
that I need to
okay,
finish a couple of minutes, and I
okay,
will come.
okay, okay.
Uh, okay, so let me go to the conclusions, and let's keep the rest for the next topic. It will be a lot of additional development here, and maybe when I will have chance in the next conference to continue development of our Spring infrastructure, it will be more methodology we will be able to cover. And guys, I want to engage each one of you to do things like together with me. I mean, if you are a speaker, if you have any talk, even talk with your team about something you develop, try to make the remake with ChatGPT and see what you can learn from that. If we in very new world of LLMs, and we still don't understand where it helps, where it can harm us, so we need to talk, and don't afraid to say bullshit like me, because we in the beginning of the road, and I hope my advice is really is valuable. Maybe I didn't have enough time to prove that they really work, but we will continue, and maybe I'm wrong. So in the next session we will discover that. And I want to remind that it's only my personal experience, all my advices. And I want again to say that we have now a chance, because of if we are talking about DevRel, if we are talking about the life of developers, it always was a problem to engage people to do something together, because it always different cultures. This is front end developers, this is back end developers. They interesting to talk about Spring. These guys interesting to talk about Spark, and this is different conversations. Now we have something which is relevant to everybody. It's ChatGPT or things like that. So we have the first conference, which is totally EPAM conference, which will be about that. It's the conference called Learning Week. It will be in the 3 of December, and it will be 5 days of speaking about things like ChatGPT and how to develop and what kind of products do we have and what we are anticipating in the future. I hope I will have a slot there, and there I will have, maybe I'll ask something about 3 hours, and we'll sit and quietly with some, maybe in different format, we will be able to do it like a webinar and finally prove my methodology and my suggestions, or fix it a little bit, or fix it seriously. Okay, so guys, please come to our VR community. Just register in order that I will see you. I will see your name, and when I will have the capacity, and I'm looking for that, someday I will come and I'll say, you guys, we are together. You said that you want me to part of the VREL. Maybe you have some ideas. Think about ideas, like a lot of ideas we can do with ChatGPT for our common activities, competitions against ChatGPT. Let's write stories with ChatGPT. We can do a lot of fun in order to learn this topic, and I want to engage you to do that. So, guys, thank you. And again, all this is only my personal experience. I need to go to the panel, and see you later on the next talks.
Yeah, thank you, Evgenia. Thank you, and I hope you have a chance and to rest this weekend because you need to sleep. If you didn't sleep, thank you for joining. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And
Yes, I'll follow
yeah,
your advice.